How we doing, friends, and welcome back to Continues to Tick. Here we are, December 2024 Dividend Monthly Portfolio Review, and technically, I think my very last video. No, not I think. It is my very last video for 2024. And just like that, friends, the year's over. Christmas this week, New Year's the next week, and I will see you again in 2025. And that's crazy to imagine. I just got back from Playa del Carmen late last night. It's the weekend, it's Sunday when I'm recording this, but I still wanted to just push out a video and connect with you guys. And the dividend journey continues. We've had some big movements and we're going to see how the dust is settling. But if this is your first time here, welcome. If you've been here before, you guys know these dividend monthly portfolio reviews happen every single month. It's just a big general portfolio update, and I upload it every other week. So this is the big review each month that I do. And as always, with this update, I tell you how much I fund my portfolio, how often. I go into my sector allocations and percentages, explaining some of my best and worst performers per sector, my current number of holdings, my current dividend portfolio's yield, what is my expense ratio, some of my short and long-term plans for the portfolio. I always like taking the time at least once a month to share these with you guys, and then how much my dividend portfolio currently pays me in dividends. And then towards the very end of the video, friends, I always choose a topic to speak about, oftentimes a little bit deep, in a way a little bit more meaningful. Today, I'm going to be talking about the value of your career setup, and this is kind of just stemming off something I recently had to dive into myself, and I'm going to explain to you my opportunity, it arrived, and what I did. I'm going to share that with you, my thought process, and hopefully it could bring out something for you guys to think about and chew on as well. So let's go. And just before I go into this, I do want to just give a general update. I did take my family to Playa del Carmen, and my mom is 64, my dad is 69. Life is never guaranteed, as it is anyway, but when you start to age-wise dive into your 60s, into the 70s, it really is not guaranteed. There's plenty of people that don't make it to this age, and even if you're in this age, it's not uncommon to just, unfortunately, not be alive anymore. And, for me, I always had a dream. I had a goal to take my mom to Cancun. It was her dream trip. Well, we didn't go to Cancun, but, we were there practically. And we took her to Playa del Carmen, which is a more chill area. Probably better for the parents, right? And we stayed at a resort. It was actually really nice. My mom enjoyed it. And, my family enjoyed it. And that's ultimately, what I wanted. And it made me very happy to see. Because at the very end of it all, I did have to sell some dividends. I did have to go into, my portfolio here. But those are things that there is a monetary value price tag to it, obviously, but there's a memory that you take to the grave with it. And for me, that was so worth it. I was at least able to do it once. We were all healthy. We all went. And that's the thing. Every single year from this point on, every month, every day from this point on, it's not guaranteed. So I'm just happy to have been able to go and be healthy enough to go, right? For my parents, for all of us. And we were able to do it once. So I did just want to mention that, give you guys an update because I said I would, and as I played some clips there. And that's what life is about. So that's what this channel is about too. It's trying to do the best that we can and utilize time with our investments and leveraging time and money so we can financially be better off in the future and also live life at the same time. But anyways, friends, continuing onwards with the Jesse's cash flow portfolio, the dust is going to settle here. If you watched my last video, I sold quite a bit of dividends. I pretty much went into my healthcare sector. It's not anything in coordination, honestly, with what happened with the healthcare CEO, of United Health. It really wasn't. I don't remember if I did that first or after. I don't remember what came first, but it just all kind of happened at the same time. But that was my worst performing sector, so I just went into that, and I sold a lot. I sold about 5,000 something. I even sold another 350 last time I spoke to you guys. And, I wanted to go to Cancun or the Playa del Carmen. I wanted to go on this trip with some money and not feel super strapped. So we were at 100,000. Now we're at $90,644.97. And it hurts. It does. But like I mentioned, right, I just got done saying there are some things that you just have to do in your life that it's worth it. It's a memory that has no price tag, right? And for me, taking that pay cut I took earlier, I'm feeling it now, but I get to work fully remote from home. And the topic for the end of this video is going to be the value of our career setup. And I had to dive into that. And I'm still trying to see, where I'm going to land with that. And for me, working remote has just been so worth it. It has been so life-changing. I'm so better off because I can have this flexibility. And again, that had a price tag and I'm feeling it. But looking at this chart here, friends, just continuing to move forward in the video, I started this portfolio in July 2020. If you're curious, you haven't been here on this journey with me, July 2020 is when I started this portfolio. And in these early stages here, I was very hungry. My expenses were low. I wasn't traveling anywhere. Life was simpler. I still am with the same partner now that I was then, but her and I had way less expenses. We were living in an apartment. Our quality of life was a lot less, but you have to give and take. You have to pick and choose what it is you want in this life. So those $500 every single week, I maintained them for a good bit, and then they slowly started to trickle down. As we started living life, I went back to school to get my master's degree and advancing my career. And now because it's one thing I cover, at this moment, I'm still freezing my funds in the sense that I'm not investing anything. I'm just dripping what my portfolio is giving me. That's it. I'm not happy about it, but I need to see how this pay cut is going to land on me. And if you're curious, just as a reminder, if you haven't heard it before, my prior nursing job, I was making $134K. I had to go in every single day into a prison. I was a state government worker. I'm still a state government worker now, but I get fully remote in the state of California, full flexibility, and I make 113. So I took about a 20K pay cut, right, to take this job. And I think in my other one, I'd be making like 137 now. So, a pretty hefty pay cut for sure. But for me, it's been worth it. But enough of that, friends. The one thing I do want to show you guys here, this is my chart. This is my last 3 months. We were at 101 when I sold. Bam, went to 95, and the markets have just continued to go down, right? And I'll show you here on the Dow Jones, the markets have not been pretty. Even the Dow Jones and the overall market as I was selling was going down. So it's hard to know where my portfolio would be right now. Without all this turbulence, it'd maybe be around 93 or so, but it's at 90 because the overall markets are down. We'll take it. I'll still take my 90K dividend portfolio. I'm not going to complain too much, especially considering everything else that life has to offer. So switching this back to all time, I want to share with you my sector allocations because I did change them recently as I sold some dividends and I went into my healthcare sector. But real estate's at 13%, tech's at 13, consumer staples is at 12, ETFs at 10, my index funds at 10. And you can kind of see the pattern here overall as I go through them one at a time. And then if we look at my best overall performer all time, it is tech, followed by financials, energy, industrials. And my worst performer is still healthcare, which I'm glad I still went into to sell. And then consumer staples, down 6%. I still have, it looks like 1,200 in healthcare, but overall, as it compares to my other holdings, not very much. I am very heavy in tech, but that's just because it continues to go so well right now. A lot of it has to do with Nvidia. Nvidia has been doing very well. It has my whole tech sector unbalanced, but my cost average on it is so low. It does not make sense for me to sell it. And I've sold a chunk of it last year to go to Greece. I'm pretty much playing with house money at this point with my Nvidia. I think it was worth $2,000 overall when I first bought, right? My amount. And that's pretty much how much I sold when I went to Greece. So everything else is pretty much just what I've made off it. So in that sense, it is house money. But 60% actual target as opposed to 28. And then Apple's doing well. IBM is above Apple in terms of the return. And if you're curious, friends, you want to see, exactly what it is that I'm holding in my portfolio, there's a link in my description box. I place it in there every video. Check it out and you can see what it is I'm holding. You can go at it at your own leisure. I'll add an updated link now because I've sold some holdings, so just something to keep in mind. And going into the activity section, I just want to be transparent with you guys. These were the last big chunks that I sold when you guys watched my last video, 3,600, 1,100, and then another one right before I went to this trip. I sold $360. And you can see all my dividends here, all my dividend payouts, they're all in the green. All these I'm dripping right back into my portfolio. And that's pretty much what I am funding for the moment. And like I said, it's something I want to change. I just have to continue to see where I'm going to kind of recalibrate. But ultimately, I just have to let all the dust settle, recalibrate, this really large pay cut I took back in June. And at some point, I will start to invest again. And another big update just to share with you, I did pay off my car. So a big reason why I sold a lot of what I sold here was to pay off my 2014 Toyota Camry I bought from CarMax maybe like 3 years ago. So ultimately I paid my car off in 3 years. It's funny, I paid it all off on literally the 3rd year anniversary. I had no idea, but my car is paid off now, and that was $400 going to that. So that'll be going now back to me. So I'm stabilizing. I have a plan. I'm stabilizing. At some point, I hope to share with you, I'm funding again. And in my holding here, this is the best place I can tell you my return is for my portfolio. My cost basis is $65,800, and my value is $90,600. This equates to a total gain of 37%, about $24,800 of gain. So pretty good. And you could get a little peek here at the number of positions that I have. And then just going a little bit more into the data of my portfolio, it looks like after my sell, my dividend went up. It's 2.975%. And then my expense ratio is 0.01%. Perfect, because I like kind of doing it on my own. I think it's fun. And then my holdings, it's at 49. It was at 50, but I did sell off Medtronic. That's the one holding I completely sold off. So down to 49. I know some people say it's a lot. I'll admit to you, it is a lot, but I'm okay with it. And let's see, just going back to the list here, how much I fund, best and worst performers, number of current holdings, dividend yield, expense ratio. Let me share with you, friends, some of my short and long-term plans just quickly, and then I'll tell you how much this dividend portfolio currently pays me in dividends at 90K. So as I mentioned, friends, my short-term plan is just to continue to feel the effects of this really large pay cut that I took to take a remote job as a nurse, working for the state government of California. My setup, my benefits, it's all worth it to me. At this point, I just want to continue to find ways to make additional income. I am working on, a separate YouTube channel. I've been working on it for some time now called Male Nurse Mentor. And I'm pretty much just making videos for nurses, right? Pre-nursing students. I'm actually working on a website. I'm eventually trying to monetize a service, and we'll see if I can get a little bit more money from there. If not, I do know I need to at some point make a move. I need to invest. I need to take a risk at some point. Otherwise, this is going to be a really slow moving process. So I'm kind of in this contemplation phase. Do I invest more? Do I take a risk with, this dividend portfolio? So I'm still trying to get clarity on it. But for the short term, just waiting to see at what point, right, month by month, at what point I can start to invest in this dividend portfolio again and grow it. I paid off my car. I did that. That was a short-term goal, and that was a goal accomplished. So for the short term, that's kind of where I'm at. And for the long-term plans, I have a good state government job. I have a retirement age of 50. So it's just a matter of making it to that with the pension, and we'll see what other investments I have along the way. But at the earliest, or I guess the latest, I want to retire is the age of 50. If I could retire sooner than that, even better. But my goal is to retire at 50 with my pension, this dividend portfolio, and hopefully some other investments that will also pay off. So we will see. So how much my dividend portfolio currently pays me in dividends, let's check it out. So I'm going to use the M1 dividend income calculator, and it looks like for the next 12 months, $2,554.96. So it looks like overall we're still doing pretty good. I think this is with everything that I've sold, but I'm not fully sure. So in a way, don't be surprised if the next time we check this out, it's less. Sometimes it takes a while for the dust to settle. But at the moment, according to M1, it says with my portfolio size of 90K as it stands, with the dividend yield of 2.9 or so, I'm not doing any manual math here. I'm just letting their whole calculator do the work. It says I have a total income of $2,554.96. On average, each month, this is $212.91. And, that's the dividend payout. I'm dripping all of it back. We can say, even though I'm not funding anything, I am funding my dividend portfolio, which is the neat thing about this strategy here. Pretty neat. I wanted to share this with you. It's always a fun thing. All right, friends. So as we make our way to the very end of the video, I got another update I want to share with you, and I want to discuss with you just this thought, right? Like, what is the value of your career setup? Like, do you think of this? Have you thought of this for yourself? Like, at what point does money not matter? At what point would you sacrifice some pay for something, for example, for a better work-life balance, right? Like, at what point would you sacrifice some money for that? I took a pay cut, right, to work as a nurse consultant. My idea was to work in this job to eventually flip it for another job that pays 140 to 180K. It's a lot of money. It's a lot. So that opportunity has come. But the realization is that it doesn't exist, at least for now, the one offered to me, as a remote job. It exists as a hybrid role, which, for some people, it's fine. It's an easy one to hop on, especially, let's say you work 5 days a week. You'd love to go and be hybrid. But for me, I'm fully remote now throughout the whole state of California. I can go work in Joshua Tree. Like, that would always be a dream of mine, right? I can then go to another area, right? Like San Francisco if I wanted, or to San Diego if I wanted, or way up north in California, like Manchester, California if I wanted. Like, I can live anywhere just within this state. And that's a lot of flexibility, right? A lot. And I took a big hefty pay cut to have this flexibility. My end goal isn't to stay in this job. It's to eventually work for a higher paying one. But I realize I have to be patient. The card that's in my hand, this ace, right? I don't want to let it go. I was offered an interview at this hybrid job that would start me at 140K, let's say. And within 5 years, it has a runway of about 180. That's a lot of money. Right now, I'm kind of needing money. I make 113K. So I really sat with this. My partner's going to go to grad school. We don't know what school. And just out of everything involved, I decided to pass up on it. I leaned into the fact of how flexible my job is, how easy and peaceful it is. It's so relaxing, this job, that the value in this setup that I have, even though it's less pay, for me, was better satisfaction, better work-life balance, and the cost of not having to drive at all for work for any reason other than to travel, which I get paid for. It just didn't make sense to switch this opportunity for that one, for the hybrid one with higher pay, right? And we're all maybe eventually going to have to make a decision like this. But for me, I really had to sit down and value that remote capability. For me, that's an ace in my back pocket. That's a card in my hand that I didn't realize how much weight it held and how much I would need to get in return to give that up. Like, coming from a nurse who would go in 5 days every day to a prison, right? I always got this idea of the workforce that a lot of other people weren't able to relate to. I was literally trapped in a prison 5 days a week. But I realized that me going into a prison, locked down behind barbed wire and behind all these padlocked doors, was in a way no different than anybody else going into work, going to their cubicle, right? 5 days a week for 8 hours, 9 to 5, or however their schedule was. It was no different, but I felt it a lot more. But it made me realize just that it was no different. So for me, being able to work fully from home, make 113K, I'm very grateful for that. I was kind of letting that go until this next opportunity had to come up and really put it into perspective. You can make more money, but it's going to be remote. You're going to lose that remoteness, that flexibility. You're going to have to go in office and feel like you're tethered again, which is the realization of the workforce. You're not on your time. You got to commute, you got to drive home, you got to stress about going into work on Monday, doing all those things. For me, I have none of that. Like, for example, it's the holidays. I'm going to go with my partner to work from her mom's house starting tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday, and it's Christmas Eve, Christmas. And, the day after Christmas, I just roll out of bed, open up my laptop, and I'm working from home. So I just wanted to bring that up. Maybe at some point you guys will have to think of this for yourself. Like, what do you value in your career setup? What would be your dream setup? And are you grateful? So for me, those are the things I had to explore. I thought I wanted that opportunity of more money. I'm going to find it in a different way. I'm just going to have to find it in a different way because I still want more money, but it's good enough. And I just have to find another way to make more, but keep my setup. So we'll see, friends. We'll see ultimately what that looks like. We're all on this journey. You're on this journey with me in a way. And I just wanted to bring that up for discussion just to see what your thoughts were. And I wanted you guys to think about it. What is the value of your career setup right now? Or what more would you want? What would you want to change? What would be your dream setup? And would you give up pay to get it? Or would you get paid more to give it up? So those are all questions I had to sit with. Interestingly enough, I needed to have this next opportunity plopped on my lap to think about it. So, yeah. Anyways, friends, that's going to be it for this week's video. I will catch you guys on the next one in the new year in 2025. Have a safe end to this year, friends, and I will see you soon enough in January 2025. Happy New Year, friends.